Hi guys, how you doing? Well, this one is for your son Meir. I found this book somewhere for him, and it's called Baseball's Greatest Hitters. And I don't know how long I can read. I'm a little tired, but I want to put something in so that he can see it. Baseball's Greatest Hitters. On the cover is, I think the guy, I forget his name is McGuire, and there's Babe Ruth and Sammy Sosa. But in any case, we'll start reading about baseball's greatest hitters. Okay, let's see. The hardest job in sports. Batter up. The pitcher delivers. It's a fastball, steaming in at more than 90 miles an hour. The ball reaches the plate in less than half a second. The hitter must react in the blink of an eye. Should he swing? Is the pitch a strike or a ball? Will it hit him, causing him injury? To make the right decision, the batter must concentrate completely. After all, the bat must connect with an object only 2.5 inches wide. No wonder some feel that hitting is the hardest job in sports. Of course, great hitters do more than just get the bat on the ball. They swing with power and drive in run after run. When the game's on the line, they're the players who always come through. Here's a picture. Oops, oh, there we go. See, those are it's a drawing of people hitting the ball. There have been great hitters ever since baseball began. But in the early days, the game was different. The ball was heavier, so it didn't carry very far. Pitchers could spit on it or scrape it, getting it wet and dirty. As the innings passed, the ball grew hard to see. Unlike today, the umpire didn't toss it from the field. That time in baseball is known as the dead ball era. Hitters didn't clobber many homers because of the wet, dirty, heavy ball. But in 1920, teams began to use a light, clean, dry ball. A player named Babe Ruth started slamming home runs, and the game was changed forever. Now the greatest batters are usually sluggers, and fans love to argue about who's the best. Keep in mind that not all top hitters played in the major leagues. Before 1947, black Americans were not allowed in the majors. Some of our most spectacular athletes were in the Negro leagues. That's where the black people are, Akushim. So who are baseball's greatest hitters? Forget the fastest runners and the finest fielders. Not even the top all-around players count. This book is just about the true heroes of batting. Chapter 1, The Man Who Had to Be the Best. Detroit, 1912. 3 men are trying to beat up Detroit Tiger star Ty Cobb. But Ty fights back. He's not about to let himself be robbed. Ty is a fighter, even when he's playing ball. He's been known to climb into the stands and slug a fan who's booed him. Once, when he was heckled, he threw his bat into the seats. He shouts at umpires and spikes fielders guarding the bases. Many players think that Ty is crazy. But now he is fighting for his life. One of the men has a knife. He stabs Ty in the back, and blood pours from the 5-inch wound. That just makes Ty angrier. He starts to punch fast and hard. 2 of the men run away, but Ty chases the third down. He hits him so many times, he's believed that he really hurt him badly. Ty's own wound is serious, yet he refuses to see a doctor. Wearing a homemade bandage, he plays the next day. Blood soaks in the bandage, but Ty slams a double and a triple. Not even a stabbing can stop him. Ty would always do anything to succeed. I've got to be first in everything, he said. He didn't just slide into a base. He flew spikes first at a fielder. Now, by the way, you should know that this is not good mitos. That's not the way you play, but that's the way he was. We know we play with manners and menschlich, and it's not important you have to be the best, but that's the way he wanted to be. And he was actually Ty Cobb. He was a great baseball player. Maybe one of the greatest baseball players that ever lived, but he certainly was crazy. Players knew. Oh, here, this is a picture. See, he'd slide in, and on the bottom of his shoes were spikes to dig into the dirt, and he used to slide with his feet up to try to hit the fielder with the spikes. Players knew he'd try for the extra base. so they rushed their throws and made errors. But it was pitchers who feared Ty the most. He did whatever he could do to annoy them. On deck, he would grit his teeth, swinging 3 bats at a time. With his hooked nose and small eyes, he looked mean. When he walked to the plate, he'd often shout an insult. Sometimes he'd bend over and shake his rear end at the pitcher. I never heard that before. Don't ever do that, guys, okay? This man was a Meshuggah, okay? Once at bat, he kept his back to the mound. The confused pitcher fired 4 balls in a row. Ty could hit any pitch, so no one was sure what to throw him. He always choked up on his short bat, hands apart on the handle. His knees bent slightly as he held the bat away from his body. A tricky hitter, Ty did what no one expected, but he always made contact with the ball. Since he played mostly in the dead ball era, he rarely hit homers. Still, he drove in run after run and was probably the best bunter ever. By 1925, everyone wanted to be a slugger. That's when Ty pulled one of the greatest batting feats ever. He announced that he would go for the first time, he would deliberately try to hit home runs. To prove he could hit homers if he wanted to, he smacked 3 in one game and 2 in the next. See, there's Ty Cobb standing with his back to the pitcher, and the pitcher threw 4 balls in a row and walked him. He played for the Detroit Tigers. Ty performed feats few players could. His lifetime batting average is the highest in history, 366. Games were more exciting when he was in them. He'd get a single, steal second, and score on an infield out. But Ty could be selfish. If he was in a slump, he'd stay on the bench to protect his average. When he did get his way, he threw terrible tantrums. Once he refused to play because he didn't like his hotel room. But he was he was not a nice person, Ty Cobb. Throughout his life, Ty had very few friends. He hated black Americans and seemed more concerned about money than people. Baseball was the most important thing in his life. As a boy, he wanted to play so badly, he sewed his own glove and carved his own bat. Because his father disapproved, he wrote in secret to arrange tryouts. Once in the majors, he worked hard to learn all he could about hitting. By the time Ty grew old, he was bitter, lonely, and rich. Only 3 baseball players came to his funeral. Though unpopular to the end, he was still considered a legend. To see him was to remember him forever, said one player. He was a very, very good baseball player, but he was a Meshuggah, and he was not a nice person, and that's not the way we want to be. Here's a picture of Ty Cobb. He really was not a nice person at all. He had a, yeah, okay. Okay. The next chapter, we're not going to have a chance to do it tonight because it's getting late. But the next one is called The First Slugger, the New York Yankees, Babe Ruth. Here's a picture of Babe Ruth. Wait a second, what am I doing here? There we go. That's a picture of Babe Ruth. Okay, we're not going to get a chance to read about Babe Ruth tonight because it's getting late. But Bezrat Hashem, the next time I record Yisrael Meir, we'll read about Babe Ruth on the New York Yankees. See, there he is right there. Okay, my tzaddik. I love you. Mwah.